Imagiverse Studios presents Tales from the Horrorweb, an audio-only series based on the short stories by Gavin Pryor. Tonight's story is called The Midnight Performance. A figure takes center stage to haunt a show that a theater group put together. In a college theater, a group of college students who are part of a theater group were getting some ideas on what kind of show they could do. One of them insisted that they do Romeo and Juliet. However, they seemed not to be interested in that idea. Another one insisted that they could do the Phantom of the Opera. Again, they were not interested. However, one person came up with a solution. "I have the coolest idea ever," said Katie. "How about we do one about a teenage werewolf?" "That sounds like a very good idea," said Marks. "That's perfect for our show. This is going to be cool." "Calm down, Marks," said Rebecca. "Also, I agree with that idea. Maybe we could make that happen." "Count me in," said Charlie. "Well," said Otto, "I guess we better get to work on that." They seemed to be very interested in the idea that Katie seemed to have in mind, so they got to work making ideas for the show about a teenage werewolf. It took a couple weeks for the props to be set up and the scenery to be created. The theater director seemed to like Katie's idea. "So, Katie," said Simon, "I love your idea for a show. Is it going to be that scary and romantic?" "Yes, theater director, sir," Katie said. "Well," said Simon, "that is very splendid indeed. I just hope that this show will be a major success." The next day, while the weekend had arrived, they decided to get the costumes that they had made a couple of weeks ago prepared and all set for the show they would be performing. "You think the costumes will be perfect for our show?" said Charlie. "Well," said Marks, "I give it a thumbs up." Rebecca asked, "Would our theater director be so proud of us for putting on a show?" Otto said, "I have no doubts about it, but I am sure about it." "Well," said Katie, "I could be a horror fanatic right now, but I am sure that nothing is ever going to stop our show." Mark said, "Surely you have some good ideas planned, and to say the least, you are such a cool gal." "Well," said Katie, "thanks for the compliment. You know that I'm full of ideas and creative." "So, what can we do?" said Otto. After many hours of planning, Katie decided to head back to her dorm room and binge watch a bunch of horror films. However, when she came in, she found a newspaper on the floor. She picked it up, and it was on an article that was from August 15th, 1992. It said that there was a tragedy on stage where a man was performing for a show about the Phantom of the Opera. Unfortunately, he died after the chandelier fell from the ceiling and landed on him. This incident caused the theater to be shut down. Luckily, it was bought by the college after it was built. However, rumors state that he still haunts this theater. "Okay," said Katie. "I am not sure if these rumors are true." Katie then threw the newspaper at her desk and turned on the television to watch some horror films. 2 days later, the theater group was rehearsing for the show that they had come up with. Otto will play the teenage werewolf named Damien. Rebecca will play his girlfriend named Cassie. Marks will play a police officer, and Charlie will play Cassie's mother. Katie will be the narrator. "So," said Simon, "is everyone ready to take the roles and practice your lines?" "So," said Simon, "is everyone ready to take the roles and practice your lines?" "We sure are," said Katie. Simon said, "All right, let's begin rehearsing. Ready when you are." They then began to rehearse for the show. They seemed to be very perfect and very good with the acting. After many minutes of rehearsing, they were very perfect. "Okay, everyone," said Simon. "Let's take a break and get some lunch. Also, good work on your lines." During their lunch break, they discussed what the show would be like. Just then, they heard a menacing laugh inside the theater. Said Simon, "are the sound effects turned off?" I am sure this wasn't supposed to happen. Yeah, said Otto. I wonder who left that on. Someone could be doing a prank. Just then, the lights turned off, and this figure appeared. He seemed to be wearing a white mask that resembled a cat with no nose or mouth. The eyes were just black, and he was wearing a black trench coat with a black shirt, black pants, and black shoes. He was even wearing a fedora on top of his head. It came down on stage and said,
"Don't ever try to stop me. Get out and never return, or there will be consequences."
Its voice was rather demonic. Then the figure seemed to run off without a trace. The lights were then turned back on. "What was that?" said Simon. "Was that someone pulling a prank on us?" Katie said, "I think this was the ghost of the man who died in the theater." "I know much about ghost stories," said Otto, "but this one seems to take the cake." "All right, calm down," said Simon. "We should be able to get to the bottom of this. Our show must go on without any major delay." "Oh," said Katie. "Okay, I guess we can just go on with our rehearsal after we finish our lunch." As soon as they finished their lunch, they went back to the stage and rehearsed. Their lines are still good. After many minutes had passed, the theater director had congratulated them for their best rehearsal and decided that their show was to be performed at midnight. "Wait," said Katie. "Are we doing a midnight performance?" "Yeah," said Simon. "We're gonna do one, because why not? This seems to be the most scary and romantic play I have ever seen in my life. We will continue rehearsing in a few days, so practice your lines this weekend so that you don't lose them." Just then, the lights went out again, and the same figure from before appeared.
"You won't be so lucky,"
the figure said.
"I have something at midnight for when you perform the show."
Then he ran off, and the lights turned back on. "Again with the pranks! Knock it off!" said Simon. A few days seemed to have gone by, and they have rehearsed very well. When the time had finally arrived for their midnight performance, they had gotten ready in their costumes and prepared for one epic show they had come up with. "This is it," said Otto. "Our show is going to be great. Let's not get carried away with our acting." As soon as the actors got on stage behind the curtains, Katie, who was doing narration, stepped out from behind the curtain and began to narrate the beginning of the show. When she was done, she went backstage and the curtains opened up, revealing Otto in his teenage werewolf costume and Rebecca standing next to her. Meanwhile, backstage, Katie was getting ready to do a narration for the end of the show, when all of a sudden, the figure she had seen earlier came in front of her.
"Well, Katie,"
the figure said,
"it's about time you came and decided to perform for the show."
"Why are you trying to do this to us?" asked Katie. The figure said,
"You know how much I feel about some visitors showing up in my home. I suffered this accident a long time ago after what happened. Now I haunt this, and this will be my home. One of your friends will suffer the same fate that I suffered a long time ago."
"This will not happen," said Katie. The figure then disappears in front of her eyes before running off to the top. She ran to the auditorium after realizing what was going on. When she got here, she saw something hanging from the ceiling of the theater. A chandelier was hanging there, ready to fall off at any time. She warns the theater director about this. "What?" said Simon. "Are you serious? Don't you know how much injury that is going to cause? We need to stop this act." The show progressed and it was fine. Just then, when it reached the finale, the chandelier was ready to fall off and cause one of the members of the theater club to be dead. When the show ended, the chandelier fell. Before it hit Otto, Katie rushed to the rescue. "Otto, watch out! The chandelier's about to fall off!" yelled Katie. She pushed Otto out of the way of the chandelier. Then the chandelier hit Katie. She was not dead, but she only suffered some minor injuries. The actors gathered to see what happened. "Katie, are you okay?" said Otto. "Yes, but I think I broke a few bones," said Katie. After a few minutes, Katie was rushed to the hospital by the paramedics. "Who could have done this?" said Otto. "At least Katie saved my life." Charlie said, "We're not actually sure." Simon said, "I think I will start a fundraiser to help pay for the medical bills." Meanwhile, back at the auditorium, Marx was just walking out of the stage when he found a book on the floor that was a script for The Phantom of the Opera. Upon opening it, he found a picture of the man who died in the incident. He had green eyes and brown short hair. He was wearing a brown and white shirt with tan pants and black shoes. His name was Charles. The haunting of the college theater never happened again after the incident. However, it remains a mystery as to what might have caused the accident to happen.